Hey everyone, welcome to my basic PHP series. I already did this video, but I can't find it, so I am going to be redoing it. It is out of order, so I apologize. It may not flow so nicely into the next video, but the basics and the concepts will all be here. So I'm going to get started with setting up XAMPP. I do have a video on this, so if you want to go through the steps, just watch that video. And just so that way you guys know where to go to apachefriends.org and click on the XAMPP button. There will be different versions. So if you have Linux, Windows, Mac OS X, Solaris, you can use any of those and just click on the version that you want. And there will be either a zip folder. So we'll just go down to the download section, click on XAMPP, and we can get the installer for Windows in a zip or 7-zip version. I prefer the zip version just because I can put it on a thumb drive. I can put it wherever I need it. As long as it's in the root of the drive, then you're going to be okay. But once you have that set up and installed, then you can move forward with the video. I'll give you a second to get that installed and just pause the video. So with that installed, we're going to jump into Aptana. Aptana is a really good PHP or web editor. It doesn't have a GUI interface, or I shouldn't say a graphical user interface. It's not a WYSIWYG editor. By that, I mean it's not something that you can look at and get the actual output of the screen. I think you have a better control over what happens in the code because you're the one putting it together rather than using something like Dreamweaver where you're just dropping things in and hoping that it works. Yes, they do work for the most part, but they add in a lot of code that's not really needed. So go to aptana.org, and then on the home page you'll see the download Aptana Studio 3. Download that because that's the editor that I prefer right now. There are a couple out there that I'm looking at, but I happen to like Aptana and what it does. Out of the box, it gives you code hinting for HTML, PHP, some JavaScript stuff, and it also does code hinting or highlighting for what versions of CSS certain things will work for. So I think it does a really good job. So download that, and then once you have that downloaded and installed, go ahead and open your Aptana Studio. And then you should get a pop-up, which I probably won't have one with my version, but it'll ask you where you want your default workspace to be. Go to your XAMPP folder, which I'm going to pull that up over here. And within your XAMPP folder, there's an htdocs folder. That should be your workspace. That is your live your live directory for all your web stuff. So point your workspace here, and then whatever changes you make in your editor, they will be made here, and you can actually view them in your browser. So I'm going to close this. And I have my project here, which does include some of the files from before. As I had mentioned, I'm redoing the video. But click on, or if you don't have a project, just right click anywhere. Click on New PHP Project. And just make sure that your location is at your XAMPP /htdocs folder. And you can just give it a project name, whatever you'd like. If it's not in that directory, uncheck the use default location and browse to it. Otherwise, your project's not going to be going to the correct location and you're not going to be able to see it in your browser. So once you have a project name and it is in the correct location, click on Finish and that'll create your folder for you. And I'm going to click on the plus here. And normally you wouldn't have anything in this except for connections, I believe. But if you right click on PHP Basics, click on New File, and then we're just going to call this index.php. All of your PHP files will have the .php extension for the most part. If your Apache server is set up differently, then you will, you're most likely you're the one who set it up that way, and you'll know what extension you're going to be using. You can set up Apache to use different extensions and process PHP under different extensions, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. So we are going to name ours index.php, and that is just going to be the index folder in our directory. We're going to click on Finish. And we should get an empty file. For those of you who don't want to use an editor such as Aptana or Dreamweaver or Eclipse is another good one, you can go to Zend.com, I believe, and go under Community and the Zend PDT, PHP Developer Tools, and that is an Eclipse installation that has all the extra plugins and stuff for PHP development. Very nice, but I prefer Aptana over it. Aptana is based on Eclipse, but I do happen to like it a little bit more. So here on our home page or our index.php page, we currently have nothing. If we were to just type something out and just go, hello, my name is Nick, put a period. If I hit save, and let me just make sure my Apache is running. I'm just going to pause the video for a second. All right, so I do have my web browser running, or my my Apache running. So if I go to the page, we don't actually have any PHP code out there right now. Right now, it's just a string that we're putting out, or a paragraph or sentence that we're putting out to the screen. What we need to do in order to actually get some PHP code in there is we need to, I'm actually just going to delete this to make my life a little bit easier, in opening and closing PHP tags. So you do a greater than symbol. Is that greater than or less than? Anyways, the one above the comma, and then a question mark PHP, and that is your opening PHP tag. Anything that follows this will be processed as PHP, and if you're trying to render out HTML and you don't have it formatted correctly, you're going to get some errors, so make sure you watch out for that. And then to close your PHP tag, let's say you want to get back to regular HTML, or you're trying to do some JavaScript or something like that, just do a question mark and then the caret sign or the arrow that is above the period. I believe that one is the greater than sign. So now that we have some PHP tags, let's put something out to the screen. Let's do the same thing. Hello, my name is Nick. Let's save that. Aptana automatically knows that we have some errors in our script. So we go back to our page and we should get some kind of error, providing my Apache is set up correctly, which it is. So it's saying we have a parse error. Parse error is just something if PHP doesn't know how to handle the code that you've presented to it. So now we'll come back over here. What we need to do is we need to echo that out to the screen. There are two commands. There's echo and then there's print. Both of them do pretty much the same thing. Echo, you just use the keyword echo, which you should see highlighted in blue or whatever color your editor uses. If you're using regular Notepad, you're not going to see any color highlighting. So it is a good tool to learn through using Notepad. So if you ever get into a bind where you don't have an editor, you can always use a very, very simple editor such as Notepad, or I can't remember the Mac one off the top of my head right now. But if we follow this standard, so we have echo and then we use quotes around the piece that we want to put out to the screen. And we hit save and go back to our browser. Hit refresh. Now that sentence comes out to the screen. That is the basics of PHP. Everything that resides within PHP tags is going to be processed as PHP. I can do another line here. I'm going to do a break since this is HTML. I'm going to do hello from HTML. So I save that and I refresh and we get hello from HTML. Just for a quick note, I'm just going to do hello from, and I'm actually just going to do opening PHP tag echo John closing PHP tag, and then I'm just going to do how are you. I'll change that, do an exclamation point. So I save this and I shouldn't see any difference. This is all going to be on one line, so it's going to be a little different. But John is the piece that I'm putting out from PHP. So you can do PHP in line with all of your HTML. We're going to get a little more involved with this in the next videos. I believe I cover strings next, which this is pretty much a string, but it covers the data type itself. So watch that video and I'll be back here in a few minutes. Hopefully this video leads pretty well into the next. So like I said, the next video is not going to be right after this one, so you're going to see some differences in the tech sets here. But don't worry, it's still the same information that I'm trying to explain.